Hey everyone, it's Ben. I'm back. It's been a little longer than I was planning, but as it turns out, when your whole family's stuck inside the house and there's no daycare. Hi. High five.
You have a red guitar?
I do have a red guitar. It can take a little while to find some time when A, you can be loud, and B, everyone else is quiet. So anyways, I'm back this week to talk to you about something that showed up as a little bit of a quarantine surprise, which was nice, which is this. And this is the Jimmy Page Sundragon amp, just the standard edition, which came out at last winter NAMM. And I ordered it right away. So I think this is number 10. So there aren't many demos of this available yet. And definitely, I don't think any of the regular standard edition. And in case you're unfamiliar with kind of the story behind this amp, it is the amp that Jimmy Page recorded most of Led Zeppelin 1 on, along with his Telecaster, and also the solo to Stairway to Heaven, he says. Basically, what happened is, with all the anniversary activity for Led Zeppelin going on, the Fender reissue, Telecaster, that kind of thing, he looked up Mitch Colby of Park Amps, formerly of Marshall Korg, that kind of stuff. Basically let him borrow the amp for a while and reproduce it. So the story of the actual amp is that he was touring around England with it, and it fell out of the back of his truck. So it started out as a Supro, but then he had to take it to a local electronics repair person, and they did what they could with British parts and put it back together. And while it's still, I would say technically a broken amp, it's got, 6 L6s in it, but it only puts out 6 watts of clean sound, which is really quiet. I would say this amp is even more quiet than, say, a Champ or a Princeton. I think partly by virtue of the fact that the speaker it has in it is a fairly inefficient speaker, but it sounds really cool, really heavy, and you don't have to have a 100 watts Marshall stack to get the sound, which is kind of fun. It's got a Jensen reissue Alnico speaker in it. I actually had the same speaker in a Princeton Reverb at one point, and like I said, it's very inefficient. So I think I don't know how they measure this, but it's a 90 decibel efficiency, which I think means, how loud it is at some specific distance, at some specific power setting. Most speakers are 100 decibels, and every 3 decibels is half the loudness. So it's quite a bit quieter as a result. Apparently, this is the same speaker that's even in kind of the special limited edition $15,000 version of this amp that they started selling a couple years ago, just because the speaker that was in the original was some hybrid reconed thing, American speaker, British cone, and they just couldn't find anything that sounded close until they tried this one, and it sounded as close as anything else they tried, including, their own reconing techniques, that kind of stuff. Yeah, so anyways, I'm going to demo you this amp, and I will do that with this, which is one of my favorite guitars. This is my 1959 Fender Esquire, super light resonant guitar. Fender Esquire is a single pickup version of a Telecaster, and this is one of the first vintage guitars I ever got, just because I played it and I couldn't not get it. I had to figure out how. And actually, one of my pieces of advice for people getting into vintage gear, stuff is all different. Some is better than others, but if you find something you like, or you're looking for a particular kind of thing, do kind of what I did, which is find something like this, which is not a Telecaster, but it has the thing I care about a Telecaster, which is that bridge pickup. Vintage stuff is kind of like stamp collecting. There's particular things people want, and if it doesn't have exactly that, it gets a lot cheaper really fast. This one's actually in really good original condition, but, finding one that's like one off from the famous thing, get a Gibson 345 instead of a 335, and you can save a lot of money that way. So this is actually almost like the perfect guitar to demonstrate Led Zeppelin stuff, which you'll see me do my poor version of. It's kind of funny. I hadn't played much Led Zeppelin since I was a teenager, and I played what I played then, which was definitely wrong. And then recently I looked up some of, I got the official transcription books and I'm like, wow, that's not quite the right thing. And it's kind of hard getting your muscle memory to do something different. Even after all these years. So you'll probably see me struggling with that. Apologies, but hopefully you get the idea. And the reason this is kind of a perfect option for demonstrating the Led Zeppelin stuff is that Jimmy Page's was a 1959 top loader Les Paul. Now his had a rosewood fretboard, which is different than mine. And I do have the American standard, or American, non-custom shop reissue of the Jimmy Page guitar as well, which I got because I really like this 59 guitar. It's got to be similar. And it is in a lot of ways. The neck is about the same thickness. The profile is different. These 59 and kind of 60 Fender necks, they start out super skinny at the nut and get thicker as they go down. That one is skinny, doesn't get that much thicker, but it's a good feeling neck. It's rosewood, it has vintage frets, which are a little taller than these. These ones have been worn down over the years. And, the sound is pretty different. I think that's just down to, people don't really know how to make the pickups the same. And, this one is super old. It's got the windings have loosened up. It's pretty microphonic, so that affects the sound as well. And, who's to say, even for the old guitars, every one of them sounds different. So you can kind of hear both sounds out of there, both kind of like what an American reissue sounds like and what a original does. So I'll probably play those two guitars and do some comparisons that way. I'll probably grab, like something with humbuckers. I know Jimmy Page is more associated with a Les Paul. I'll get something close to that. Obviously don't have an original $350,000 Gibson Les Paul. But yeah, let's do that, see what it sounds like. I'm going to play, so the amp doesn't have reverb. I'm going to play with a tape delay unit. I don't have an EP3 or anything like that, but I do have a Japanese Roland Space Echo, which both has reverb and tape delay in it. And that will also, it has the preamp sound is really smooths things out a little bit and it sounds pretty good. I imagine that's kind of like the same deal with an EP3. People like the preamp in it. It's really noisy, so you'll notice that. Sorry, but I think it sounds great. And then I'll probably do just a short comparison plugged straight into the amp versus that. What else? I do have a ToneBender Mark 1.5 clone pedal I can try. Those are super temperamental. I think temperature and everything just makes it sound different. But we'll see how that goes. Probably do some Led Zeppelin 1 stuff. maybe some other things. Just to see what it sounds like. And then maybe something a little different. Just to see, like, what the amp sounds like clean, what kind of different tones you can get out of it, other than trying to replicate, what's really coming out of someone else's fingers. Let's check it out. Let me know if you have any questions, and maybe I'll be back again a little sooner next time. We'll see. All right. Bye, everyone.